All right, everybody, we're going to talk about value spheres today, and you're going to be using two techniques that we've already used on your paper. Before you do anything, please put your name on it, because remember, we want to know whose they are. And you're going to draw two circles with their shadows, and what we're doing is we're doing what we did with drawing and making them into spheres. And you're going to use two different techniques. You're going to be using a wet on dry technique, and you're going to be using a wet on wet technique. So this one takes a little more time, but you have more control. And this one's more play and fun, but you might get it done a little faster. So the first thing we're going to do is I chose to start with a bigger brush, especially for these first layers we're going to do, because you want to make sure you always have that highlight. And what I'm going to do is put just plain water down, and I'm going to leave a little oval where there's no water. And the reason I do this is because you always want a part that is pure white. I'm going to go ahead and do just the sphere first. Choose a color that you would like to use for your sphere. It could be anything. It could be blue violet. It could just be blue. I'm just going to go easy today and use blue. And notice how when I add the blue to it, because I have that layer of water down, it beautifully goes around and it spreads. There's no streaks. If you ever think you have a little too much water, you can dry your brush off a little bit, take some off so it dries a little bit. It's good stuff. And then I'm going to do a little layer here. Maybe not too much water on that one. And we're going to come back to that one because as it insists, we have to let it dry. Now this one's kind of the fun guy. We're going to start not on the shadow, but everything else. You start the same way. Lots of water. Leave a little oval. Go ahead, do the outside surface. And when you have that done, you're going to take your color and you're going to kind of work while it's still wet. I'm going to keep that oval shape where when we shade on a sphere, I should say, you start around the outside edge. And now you're going to play with this. You're going to see what happens when I tap water here, when I do it there. Maybe you got too much dark in a place that you don't want it. So go ahead, try drying your brush, and you're going to see how your brush can pick up color where you don't want it. It works really, really good. So I'm going to pick up color here that I don't want, and eventually it'll start spreading it around. Maybe you need to dry it again. And you'll notice how you can pick up and restart if you need to. Maybe you need spots to be a little bit darker. This is your option to play around with it. Try not to drag your brush on the paper too much, like really hard, because then it will start to shred. And when it starts to shred, we can't really do too much, but it's good practice. So go ahead. Maybe I want to add a little bit more dark, so while it's still wet, I can still add some more blue around the outside edge here. And keep going. While everything's wet, this is this technique where we do everything while it's still wet. Like I said, it's a little unpredictable and it's pretty tricky, but if you ever need to pick up color, just dry your brush off with a tool. It could be paper towel, it could be a tissue, and you can go back and blend or pick up color, and then when it's time to, you can go back in and add where you need to. So you can switch to a smaller brush if you want. I just want to be able to do this for the sake of time in a video. And you'll go ahead and make it so it's like our spheres we did before. It slowly works from that really bright light to dark in this Z motion. And we're gonna wait to do the shadows because you're gonna do your own wet on wet shadow as well. So a little bit of drying time before we come back to this guy. Hopefully, in the time it takes you to perfect this beautiful sphere, this one will have a layer dry enough for you. Mine is not yet, so we'll pause and we'll come back to this in a second. Now I switched to a smaller brush just for some control, and I'm actually gonna go into my blue, and it's a little dry. You might wanna wait for a little longer. You're gonna go in and do another layer on top of what you already did. And because this is drier, it's more controllable. You're able to control it better than we were able to over on the wet on wet side. And I'm going to add another layer, another dark, right on top of the first one I did. I'm just not going to go quite as far. I'm going to leave a little bit of that light blue showing right here in that C circular shape. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm also going to add that dark shadow right under the sphere. We really want that dark, that darkest blue we can get. If you really want to push it, you could even add just a teeny bit of black. So I'm going to go ahead and make a nice dark shadow. And like I said, if you really want to, we can let dry one more time and we can go in there and add black. But now we have to give this layer time to dry. So this is a little bit of a waiting game. I'm not going to lie to you. You kind of have to wait for it. Remember how to make fix mistakes. You can get it wet and pick it up. So I'm going to pause it again because I want to let that second layer dry. All right, now we've let it dry again. So once again, you're gonna take and go back in and you'll add another layer of blue. And you're gonna do this until you have a really good layer that slowly works its way from light to dark. You're not coloring your whole circle every time. You're slowly adding another layer, which makes it look darker. And that's our goal. You can go in and add more water so it blends nicer. Do a better outlining job than me. But other than that, you keep going. Like I said, maybe go ahead and we'll add a little bit of black, just a teeny bit right under the shadow, because look how it makes our sphere pop very nicely. Not too much, just enough. And you can let this dry again, and you'll just keep doing a little bit more until you're like, okay, I think I'm done. I think my sphere looks really good. You can also take plain water, go back in and blend it a little bit. Just don't do the whole thing. You want to make sure you keep those lights to darks. And last, we forgot a shadow over here. So we're going to go ahead and put some water down there. And I'm going to put water in. And same thing, if you ever have too much water, because yes, even with watercolors, too much water, just go ahead, dry your brush off. You can pick a little bit of that up. It's very nice for that. And then I might do the same thing. I might take just a teeny bit of black here, and I'm going to put some right under the sphere. And the cool thing about this one is it's going to use the blue I put down. This is dry, so it's not going to spread there, but it's going to go right under the sphere. Put just a little, let it blend, maybe a little bit more blue. And then after you do this, you can go ahead, go back into that sphere, and you'll go back and forth. That one's not very round, but you can always make it better. So when you have these two done, you're going to go onto Schoology and upload it to day 3 of your watercolor boot camp, and it should say watercolor value spheres. All right, there you go.